Hey everybody, and welcome to a brand new installment of Nintendo News Report for Thursday, April 30th, 2015. I'm your host, Alexander Coffey, and today I am joined by my usual co-host, Scott Thompson, back from a long
Hey,
sabbatical. Hi, Scott. How you
hey.
doing?
Oh, I am very good. How are you, Alex?
I'm doing well. And this week, my guest host is someone who should have been on last week, but because of technical issues was not able to. Donald Terrio. Hi,
Got it.
Donald.
Nice to be here, and nice to have Google Hangouts cooperating this week.
Yeah, it's what happened last week was James, Donald, and I were all in the Google Hangouts, but for whatever reason, Donald could not hear me. He could hear James, but he couldn't hear me, so I assumed it was my fault. But as it turns out, it was just some problem with the plugin. You had to reinstall it, and now we're golden. So let's have a good show. Also, I want to apologize to Donald publicly because last week I called you Thoreau. So I'm sorry I did that.
That's fine. I've had worse butcherings of the last name.
And
Could
I just want to say that I've podcasted with Donald for a long time on connectivity, doing hockey segments and other things like that. And I'm very disappointed to learn that he doesn't actually look like an anime character, because that is all I've ever pictured. I mean, his Skype icon, Twitter, I literally have accepted that you just look like a dreamy anime character, and I'm disappointed to find that you're just a dreamy human man now. So,
I'll wear the matching cap next week.
thank you.
So this week's top story is Fire Emblem If, which is that the official title in the West yet? I don't think so.
Last I heard, we're still going with the newest title in the Fire Emblem series.
Okay.
What if they just call
That
it
could
new?
go on the pause.
I hope it's new Fire Emblem. That would be awesome. Exclusive to
Holy shit! It's new Super Mario Brothers, new Legend of Zelda, whatever the fuck. Link to the something, and then new Fire Emblem.
hmm
And now, the big thing with this new Fire Emblem is that now it's like a Pokemon game, as we referenced in the title, and that there will be two versions of this Fire Emblem game. One of them, the Hoshido version, white version, will be the one similar to Fire Emblem Awakening, which tells me that's going to be the more casual, friendly one. There's still going to be difficulty options if you want to make it harder or easier, but that's going to be the one that's more like Fire Emblem Awakening, while the Nor Black version will not have a world map, and it'll feature skirmishes similar to other Fire Emblem games. So that'll be the more classic game, and then Hoshido will be the more modern Fire Emblem game. And it seems like the first sixth of the game is exactly the same in both versions, but the other 5/6 of the game is completely original, meaning that when this Fire Emblem game comes out, there's going to pretty much be two full Fire Emblem games coming out on that day. And yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and because we knew that going back to the last Nintendo Direct with how they were doing it in Japan. What we know now is that even the digital version is going to have you're going to download the first six chapters of the game, and then once based on what choice or what version you've downloaded, it's going to pull down the rest at that point. I don't know if it's going to kick you out of the game completely or just go back into it, and then you're going to proceed on with either the white or black storyline. You can get the other one at a discounted rate if you've bought one to begin with.
Yes. And in addition, there was also a third scenario that was just revealed, which is going to be a halfway point between the Nor and Hoshido versions. Do we know that's DLC specifically, right? You can only choose one of the two versions, and then this one is exclusively DLC, right?
That's right. So both the version you didn't pick the first time and the this third DLC chapter, they're both going to be the same price. Basically, I think it works out to about 1,800 yen or $15 roughly, based on market rates.
hmm And then there's also going to be a limited edition bundle in which all three scenarios are going to be included. And
And it's already sold out.
already sold out across Japan, but that makes a little bit of sense since it's actually already come out in like 2 months, or actually like a month and a half, June 25th in Japan. Still coming out 2016 in the West, I hope February. I have to ask, Scott, you really loved Fire Emblem Awakening. Do you know which version you're going with?
When I watched the trailer, my first thought was, okay, well, the white version. Those are the good guys. Those are the guys I want to be.
Yeah.
I will probably end up playing both, but I'll probably still start with the white version. I played Fire Emblem for a long time, dating back to the GBA, and I really enjoyed the GameCube, the two games, one GameCube game and then a sequel on the Wii. So I've enjoyed Fire Emblem for a long time, so there's no way I won't play both, but I'll probably start with the white version. But on that topic, how do you guys think this is going to be released in America? Like, I can't see it having the same scheme. So maybe that's just me.
I think they're going to release both the Nor and Hoshido. You're going to have access to both, but the third version is going to be DLC. That's how I think it's going to go.
Yeah, I'm thinking what'll end up happening is you're going to see this game come out probably at Atlas pricing, so $50.
$50? That's a lot for Nintendo.
For, well, 60 for me probably, but yeah. Thank you, Canada. But you're going to get at least the two versions with it in the cartridge or in the download, and you'll make a choice. So because as far as I recall, the Japanese version's limited edition has both in there and a download code for the DLC.
Okay.
So they'll probably, if my best guess is they'll localize the version for us with the two on one cartridge, and then the third chapter will just be a download in the shop.
Yeah, and I hope that's how they do it. That seems like the smartest way to handle it. And plus, honestly, I'd be fine with $50 if they do what Atlas does and like maybe throw in a soundtrack or an art book or something. Like Atlas has done really well at like making those games worth that premium price. So I hope that's what we get.
Donald, what version are you more excited for? And it is Hoshido, right? I'm not making that up.
Hoshido, yeah. Okay. Fire Emblem Awakening was the first Fire Emblem game I actually played in full. Mm-hmm. So I'm probably going to stick with that, but I'm going to at least probably go Hoshido third version. And if I'm still into the game at that point, I'll go with the Nor chapter as sort of a wrap up at the end of the year or something like that.
So I'm exactly the opposite from you guys in that I am looking forward to the Nor version, because one of my biggest problems with Fire Emblem Awakening, and I do think that it probably was one of the best games that came out in 2013, but one of my biggest issues is that in slightly making the game more accessible, they ended up maybe making the difficulty a little too low in the process on both normal and hard. Like, the difficulty felt really lopsided, where it was really hard up to a certain point or reasonably challenging, and then you just kind of steamrolled everything. And then once you hit Lunatic, it's just like it just got unfair.
That was way too steep.
You have to literally pick a god and pray on Lunatic, and I don't even want to go into Lunatic Plus.
Yeah, I can't mess with those.
So it felt like with Fire Emblem Awakening, even if the game was like in so many ways so much better than other Fire Emblem games, it still felt a little too casualized difficulty-wise. Like you were choosing between lopsided, a little too easy, and not fair. So I'm thinking Nor, what that's going to be is more like the more classic Fire Emblem games, but informed by what they did for the first 13 entries. So I'm hoping that this is going to be the one made for me, made for someone who just wants a steep challenge throughout. And also, it's going to be different from Fire Emblem Awakening, or this is going to be the version that's more different from Fire Emblem Awakening. So I want to see the Fire Emblem team do something a little different. But I will play all three versions. I think that's going to be the case. Because Fire Emblem Awakening, like, its gameplay is fucking magnificent. And more of that, like, in a game that might be twice that, like, sounds absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
But I also like that the game is like being designed for both camps of people, because I wonder if Intelligent Systems was actually thinking this themselves, and that look at all these people we got in Fire Emblem Awakening. This is the most successful Fire Emblem we've ever had, but here's this other feedback from the fan base that we kind of agree with as people on the team who are probably Fire Emblem fans as well. So you don't see this happen too often. In a lot of ways, this is more aggressive than what Pokemon games have ever done, because it's an entire new game rather than like Black and White, how a legendary was different and a few events were different. This almost feels like an out Pokemon, which I think is super cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the reason I go Hoshido is, well, I don't live on Easy Street, but I do get my mail there. So, and if I want to really see what Nor's all about, my current roommate is the kind of person who will play the game on Lunatic Plus, and I can just get it from him.
That's brilliant. We do think this is coming out in February, right? This is coming out in February.
The only reason I don't see it coming out in February is because I think there may be the third version of Pokemon coming out around that time for the 20th anniversary.
So I'm gonna disagree right now and say that I think on May 20th this year, I think I heard May 20th somewhere that like there was some Pokemon something happening. I think we're getting a game this year. I think whatever the third version is comes out this year, and I think there's a chance we get something related to the first generation or Kanto next year, because that seems like the right thing to do. I don't think Z-Guard is the answer for Pokemon's 20th anniversary.
Well, they gave you pretty much all of the original Gen Pokemon anyway in X and Y, so they could just go by, hey, you're getting all your old friends back, because I think they only have room for 2 more games in this generation.
Mm-hmm.
And if Zygarde's got 2 exclusive moves, they're probably going 1 per version.
Yeah, I'm actually writing a piece right now, which should go up next week, which is a lot of speculation as to what I think they're actually going to do with him in that game. But if you think about it this way, I'm pretty sure that on every Nintendo-like system, there has been some representation of Kanto, except for the 3DS. And if there was a time to do another Kanto remake, in some capacity, even if it was like a 3D classics of the original Pokemon Red and Blue, or like a revamping of Pokemon Red and Blue, I think next year would probably be the time.
Yeah, as long as they fix about the 8 million bugs that Red and Blue had when they...
The bugs are the best part of Pokemon Red and Blue.
Well, the fact that I've actually seen recovery moves fail at certain levels of hit points kind of indicates there was something really wrong with that game.
There's a brilliant image which is like, these are all the problems with Pokemon Red and Blue, and it's like you can tell that they fundamentally screwed up like a lot of Pokemon mechanics in the first game that we didn't even realize until 15 years later.
The fact that the game even boots for me at this point is a miracle.
I think it is still, with Gold and Silver being a potential competitor, I think Pokemon Red and Blue might have the most charm out of any game in that series. Just like, there is pure heart in that game. It was clearly made, just by a bunch of people who didn't know what they were doing but were making something super new and exciting. It's compared to Pokemon X and Y, which has been like soldered and like sort of sandpapered down to like a perfect sheen, which is not as glamorous anymore.
Wait, how did we get to Pokemon from Fire Emblem again? I forgot.
I promised it in the title of this show. This is how it's happening. It's done now. You're welcome or sorry.
You pick.
This is my Fire Emblem-like scenario. You can either get the sorry version or the you're welcome. So let's move on to new releases. Amiibo Tap came out this week. Donald, thank you for being the guinea pig and trying this out. What's Amiibo Tap like?
It's actually far more of a demo service than I realized, because when you put the amiibo on the system, it will give you up to I think one game had 9 different scenarios for things that you could do. Now you have 180 seconds, and it is counting it down right on the screen to say you have this long to beat this boss or beat this level of Super Mario Brothers. And I think 8-4 is one of the scenes you can get in that game. So you get all the vital parts of it. And I think so far I've seen Link to the Past, Kirby's Adventure, Legend of Zelda and Super Mario Brothers come up with the 4 amiibos I have here. Now, the fact that Mega Man gave Super Mario Brothers and Link didn't give a Legend of Zelda game, I found that a little odd, but you've got 30 games to pick from, so I can see why they'd sort of skip it out that way.
Yeah, and I think this might be like the Hyrule Warriors situation where you just put any amiibo on and it'll give you some sequence of some game. Like I remember the Direct where they were actually showing this off for North America. It put down some amiibo, and like you said with Mega Man and Zelda, it put a completely different game in a series down.
Right.
So.
I know that one of our forum members, Brood Wars, actually got Legend of Zelda out of Mega Man. So
yeah.
It's dependent system to system. I've tested it with my roommate's Wii U, but I haven't tested it with my own yet. So I'll have to see what comes of that.
And is this literally just a demo service for virtual console games?
Yeah, there's even a buy this game now eShop link right on the screen as well.
Okay. Perfect. All right, let's move on to our next one. We don't want to talk about Amiibo Tap too long. Paper Mario came out on the Wii U Virtual Console this week for Nintendo 64. That is one of the finest RPGs ever made, probably, with Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door being of similar legendary quality. You guys really played if you've never played it before, and if any of you were watching this and like jumped into Paper Mario late and have only played Super Paper Mario, or even worse, just Paper Mario Sticker Star.
First of all, I feel bad for you.
There are actually good games in this series. Play Paper Mario. It is incredible. It's funny. It's charming. It's actually very challenging for what are otherwise pretty limited JRPG mechanics. And I could not recommend it enough. I personally like it more than Super Mario RPG, and I think there is at least a strong case to be made there.
I'm glad I got it for the $2, thanks to owning it on the Wii. And by the way, if you are on Club Nintendo and still have coins left, you can get the Paper Mario code from there, cash it in on Wii mode, and you now have a $2 copy of Paper Mario, which, quite frankly, is highway robbery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's an amazing game. It's pretty long, too, at least 20 hours, if not edging into the 30 range.
Yeah, it's like one of the 2 good RPGs on the N64, the other one being Ogre Battle 64.
Yep.
There you go.
Ogre Battle, so good. I was hoping you were going to say Quest 64. Just kidding. Yeah, Paper Mario is very good, and it's because of the art design of the 2D, aesthetics, or 2.5D, I guess. It holds up really well. I have a hard time going back to playing 64 games on the Virtual Console, but Paper Mario, I think, still looks really great. So
there you go. And then lastly, the game I really wanted to talk about was the Puzzle & Dragons Double Pack demo, which came out today. Although this is just a demo for the Super Mario version. I played it just before getting on here. It's only like 600 blocks. There are 2 parts. There's like a tutorial easy mode to the demo, and then there's an expert part of the demo. Donald and I both played the first part. We haven't really gone too deep into the second part yet. I will say that I played Pokemon Shuffle in the past month, got hooked, played like 12 hours of it, and ended up cutting myself off because I realized I was getting to that point where I was about to spend money, and I figured that if I just uninstalled it before like wasting time on Mega Mewtwo, that I would be saving myself a lot of heartache in the long run.
I figured if I just cut my hands off, then I can't buy the DLC. Or spend extra money, yeah.
But what this did do, which I guess proves Nintendo's freemium plan a success, is that because I got so much into Pokemon Shuffle, which is in a lot of ways a simplified ripoff of Puzzle & Dragons with Pokemon, I can't wait for this double pack, because it's $29.99. I am going to be using the Gamer Club Unlocked and getting it for $23.99, and then in addition to that, I got like a $9 Best Buy gift card from the Coinstar. So I'm going to be paying like $14 for these 2 long RPGs based on super amazing gameplay that I got hooked on thanks to a Pokemon ripoff. I'm probably going to buy this as soon as it comes out. The only thing I'll say is that for Puzzle & Dragons, the big difference between that and Pokemon Shuffle is that the way you move your tiles in the Match 3 puzzle game actually matters. Like, you can't just switch tiles in the same way it is for Pokemon Shuffle. When you move a tile one place to the right or one place to the left, everything sort of shifts around a little bit. Did you notice that, Donald?
Yeah, I'm still trying to get comfortable with the idea of, okay, I can move this piece here to set up one chain, and then here to set up another group of 3, and keep moving it, because there's a little time bar on the left side of the bottom of the touchscreen that shows you how much time you have to make your move before it locks in and starts attacking the enemies.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been doing it onesie twosie. That got me through the easy mode tutorial just fine, but I actually got a game over in the expert mode tutorial.
Wow.
Because I wasn't able to do, because I'm just not able to do enough damage moving it 1 or 2 spaces at a time.
Yeah. Are you looking forward to this, Donald?
I am looking forward to it. It might actually take me away from Splatoon for a little bit, but I love my puzzle games. I love my RPGs, and this seems to be a pretty good combination.
Yeah, and these are mammoth games. Like, it seems like the Mario one is an entire game. The Puzzle and Dragon Z, it reminds me a lot of like Inazuma 11, looking at it like that kind of RPG, but with this Puzzle and Dragons gameplay. And like, these were both sold separately in Japan, and then they're selling them both for like that discounted Nintendo box 3DS price, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah, my only concern is that I'm doing a lot of RPG playing right now, so I'm just trying to avoid burning myself out on them before Puzzle and Dragon sets.
Yeah. Scott, how are you in this whole Puzzle and Dragons great debate?
Yeah, no, I'm actually really excited. Probably my favorite DS game, or at least right up there, is Puzzle Quest, which again is sort of a combination of puzzles and RPGs. So I'm very much excited for this, and I really enjoy puzzle games, but I kind of haven't caught on to any of the mobile versions lately because they seem kind of endless, and like Alex was saying, I mean, they very much prey on the idea of spending more money. So I kind of like this idea of a puzzle game not built in this Puzzle 2.0 scheme that tries to get you to spend all this extra money to keep playing when you want to play. I like the idea of just playing a puzzle game that's designed to let you beat it at some point and not require you to spend a lot of money. So I'm very much looking forward to this.
Yeah, I can only hope that they end up doing this with Pokemon and going further than Pokemon Shuffle and actually giving Pokemon the entire RPG treatment. And I also think that because Pokemon Shuffle was so successful, and I am pretty sure that it was a real big success for Nintendo on some level, they probably should actually lean into that a little bit. Like, say, hey, you like Pokemon Shuffle, here's a really similar game that is even bigger and also features Nintendo characters you probably love. So, there you have it. Let's move on to some news. Mighty Number 9 got a release date. It's coming out September 15th in North America and September 18th for the rest of the world. The 3DS version will follow at a later date. So we got the Wii U version coming out in September alongside the PS4 and Xbox One versions. And then I think it's both the Vita and 3DS versions are getting delayed a little bit. The other interesting thing that came out about this news is that they are partnering with Deep Silver to publish a physical version of this game. $29.99 will release on the same date as the console versions and will feature the Ray DLC, which is an extra level and an extra character, for $29.99. And that seems pretty cool. I think the regular game by itself has 11 stages, and it seems to carry that Mega Man structure. And as for why the 3DS version got delayed, the handheld versions were originally meant to be simpler ports, but found that the amount of work necessary exceeded our expectations. 3DS and Vita versions will actually require remaking the game from the ground up. Will actually require remaking the game from the ground up tells me they might not have actually started yet.
Also, kind of what it sounds like. Yeah, I'm pretty sure isn't this a Unity game as well? Because we just found out that's coming to the new 3DS. So they'd have to remake it that way, and the Vita's support for Unity probably not where it should be. So I can see why those two got delayed. I'll definitely pick up the physical version though, assuming that there's the Canadian equivalent of Gamers Club Unlocked, the E3 deals for 30% off every pre-order. So I'd probably get it at a pretty good clip anyway.
Did either of you back this?
I didn't.
No, I don't mess around with Kickstarters. I don't think I've ever backed anything.
Are you looking forward to this, Scott?
Oh yeah, I love Mega Man. So I'm all about it. I very much. I mean, I love the original series. I was all about Mega Man 9 and 10 on the Wii. So, yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to this.
Yeah, it's this whole announcement reminded me of GTA 5 when that got delayed because it was originally slated for a spring release in 2013, and then like when it got delayed, it just got like a yes, it's delayed, but now we have this super specific September date. So now it's like doing a trade-off of yeah, it's not coming out exactly when we said it might, but now we have this super specific date for you as well,
That's
which is
true.
which is also like exactly 2 days before when GTA came out in 2013, which I thought was neat. So
'Cause it was supposed to come out this month, wasn't it?
I thought
April?
so, or April
Yeah.
or May, yeah.
The original Kickstarter promise date, I believe, was April 2015, but obviously, Kickstarters slip all the time.
hmm
Yeah.
And GTA, like in the same way GTA was making promises like, no, 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 this actually is going to be the release date this time. It feels like they're really getting behind this strongly with announcing the physical version with Deep Silver, which is a pretty smart move. I'm surprised they're doing a $29.99 disc version because that seems kind of low for the medium. Though I guess I have no idea what those discs cost, but like. I assumed that was always an issue with those, but I think it's cool that they're putting out a physical version. I'll probably get it physical on Vita if it actually ends up being a good game. Do you guys think it'll be a good game?
I hope so.
The early games in these Mega Man type series are the good ones. At least that's been my history with it. So I'll give the first one a shot. Now, if they start coming out annually, we'll have to have that discussion again. But
well, are you looking at this as Mighty Number 9 1, or are you looking at this as Mega Man 11?
probably Mega Man 11, honestly.
Yeah.
This works though because there's been so much time between Mega Man 10 and now Mighty Number 9. So like I think it actually works out pretty well. Mega Man, as like historically, has gotten into trouble when they try to release one every year, every other year. When there's some time in between, I feel like usually that does the series well, as it probably does with any series, because then you get to develop new ideas and ways to implement them. So, yeah, I'm excited.
I guess we won't have to worry about Mega Man coming out every other year now.
Right, and actually, yeah, if any year. I kind of wonder too. Obviously it's very much paying homage to Mega Man, but I'm kind of wondering if now that it's not Mega Man specifically, if they can actually have some freedom to do like interesting and new things that they couldn't do with Mega Man. So, as much as I'm like interested in just playing the Mega Man game again, I hope they kind of use this freedom with a new character to do maybe some interesting things. I don't know.
Excellent. Moving on to our next story, Xenoblade Chronicles X. If you want to see our Nintendo Direct reaction video, that happened last week. You can find that in the playlist for Nintendo News Report. You can also find that on Nintendo World Report TV and NintendoWorldReport.com.
I like this gesture as if the playlist is like behind you. Right here.
Yeah.
Anything could be like down or maybe like to the right. I don't know.
I'm just being creative, Scott.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. Before we actually talk about the Iwata Asks, though, which is what we're here to talk about for this story, Donald, since you weren't on this show last week, what did you actually think of the Xenoblade Chronicles X Direct?
I kind of fell victim to the hype going into it.
Mm-hmm.
Word of advice: stay out of forum threads for Nintendo Directs before they happen, because you start doing things like predicting the game's going to come out in August.
Yep.
I think it's farther than we're giving it farther along for the localization than we're giving it credit for. But I'm all in on this. I've been all in on this game since 2013. So it didn't really change anything, and I'm just thinking I think I predicted at the end of last year that it would come out in October, and I'm pretty confident that's where it's gonna end up.
All right, and then you, Scott.
Yeah, I thought the direct was really, really good. I mean, obviously the like little 8-minute like actual direct was okay. I thought it kind of rehashed a little bit of like what we got from that Japan only one. I mean, naturally, but then the Treehouse stuff was very interesting, and you kind of got a better feel for how the game's really going to play. So that stuff was good, and yeah, I mean, I'm in. I kind of like that. To me, it feels like like a super like JRPG version of Mass Effect at this point. Like I love that every character seems to use ranged weapons as well as melee weapons. I love that it shifts between the two, like in context with the game based on how far you are from the enemies and everything like that. So yeah, I think it looks really great, and I can't wait to play it.
Yeah, and I guess moving on to talk about the Iwata asks, the stuff that came out of this was actually pretty interesting because they were talking about the game size, and what I thought was so interesting was that the actual main game story itself will be slightly shorter than Xenoblade Chronicles 50-60 hour mark, but the side quests are going to be 30,000 or 3,000% denser was the quote. And in addition to that, the world is going to be much bigger, it seems, and there's going to be more to do overall, which I think is the right way to do this game, because the thing that's keeping me from replaying Xenoblade Chronicles, the first one, is remembering how long of a game that was, and like those specific, really frustrating parts towards the end of the game and in the middle of the game that like are almost not worth forcing myself to redo again. So if they just keep Xenoblade Chronicles X still super long, maybe 30, 40 hours, but leave the rest of the game to be optional. Like if you want the super, super hard experience, you can actually go find this in these side quest paths. If you want more exploration, there's plenty more to explore. Like if that's what they're trying to do here, that seems like the ideal way to do it, in my opinion.
Well, not to mention the multiplayer modes too, which I think will add a lot.
Yep.
Yeah, what they're showing with the multiplayer as far as putting, you can do the multiplayer if you want to, but you're not necessarily held to doing it, and you can give a lot of people the rewards if you're the brave one who wants to go out and find what they're looking for. That's gonna be fun. I don't know how much of that I'm gonna be personally doing, but I will definitely look forward to getting the benefit out of it.
I like the idea too that it seems to like be always connected, unless you opt out. Like if you guys watch the Treehouse stuff, like in the top left corner when they're showing gameplay footage, like it specifically says like offline and it has a little X. So to me, I'm wondering if it's gonna feel almost like a Demon Souls game or Bloodborne, where like you're always connected and like at a moment's notice you can kind of like team up with other players and like seamlessly go to the multiplayer aspect of it. It's not like a separate menu. It's not separate from the main game. If that's how it actually plays, then I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, and the other players aren't going to try to gank you because they can't get into the game that far anyway.
Well, yeah, there won't be any like PvP hopefully where you're just being murdered.
Yeah.
Well, that would be interesting.
Yeah, I think as many games as possible need some kind of passive online mode, because I think that's one of the coolest like online mechanics I've ever seen. Is what they did in the Souls games, like just with leaving messages on the ground and leaving like the little ghosts of how multiple players died. Like that's all super cool. So another interesting note about the Iwata asks is that Iwata said that he was stunned when he received the cost of the game's voice acting, because there were over 11,000 lines recorded for battle and story, or actually just battle lines in the game. I don't even know if that includes story, and that some of the voice actors lost their voice.
That was just the battle, and the other thing that Iwata flipped out about seeing the bill for was the game testing.
Yeah.
Because Mario Club, they're really good at their job, but apparently they do not work cheap for a game like this.
Yeah. Well, when like it's reported that there's like 300 hours of content, yeah, that's gonna happen.
Yeah, and then the other cool thing that happened in the Iwata Ask was that they talked about the scales a little bit, and they wanted to make the experience like buying a car. So to actually buy a scale, you need to spend like a lot of in-game currency to buy a scale. I'm guessing your first one, like the story will get it into your hands one way or another, but to buy other scales, like you're gonna need to spend substantial amounts of money, which is so cool to me, and is one of like 3 or 4 ways this game reminds me of Grand Theft Auto 5, because that's something they were trying to do with their currency system too, was to make the game more immersive by making the costs more in line with real life, which I think is so awesome. Because you can buy scale insurance too, which is so cool.
Yeah, and you have 3 shots to use it, but after that you're out a lot of money.
Mm-hmm. So there you go.
And if you want to see some more of Xenoblade Chronicles X and you don't mind spoilers, you can actually watch the first hour of the game on our NWTV YouTube channel, as well as I think there's already other videos now with other sections of the game. So check that out. Or if you don't want to be spoiled, then don't. I'm not going to, but it's there if you want to watch it.
I had to break a media blackout for that direct, so.
Yeah.
Whenever you want to see coverage of this game, Nintendo World Report will have it. So there you
Whether
go.
it's now or 3 years from now, or yeah.
Anyways, moving on to another game we're going to have coverage of soon. Splatoon! There's going to be a Splatoon Direct soon. May 7th at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. 7 a.m. PT 1600 CET. It's going to be on Twitch. It's going to do the Nintendo Direct thing. It'll be wherever Nintendo Directs are. And it's going to cover new Splatoon gameplay information. And the difference between this and what they did for Xenoblade is that they didn't actually call Xenoblade a Nintendo Direct. That's what like everyone else is doing. This one they're specifically calling it a Nintendo Direct. So that means that there will hopefully be something more substantial. I hope the next Splatoon Direct fully sells me on this game, because I really want to be excited about the first huge character-driven Nintendo franchise in a very, very long time.
You know, honestly, though, I almost would have preferred it would have been the opposite way. Like, I think I would have liked to see a longer, like, edited, like, very controlled kind of Xenoblade Chronicles X Direct. And I would very much be fine with just watching, like, the guys and gals at Treehouse play Splatoon for an hour in multiplayer matches and, like, just sort of, like, the chaos that develops, you know, and just sort of this unpredictable element. So I'm kind of hoping there's some Treehouse stuff at the end, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty much in on Splatoon at this point, although I am kind of interested in seeing if they flesh out anything that they've been posting on like their Tumblr and Twitter and all that, because there's some things that they've talked about that haven't really been shown on video yet. So this is probably going to be a pretty long one, and we'll probably get a lot more of those details. So that'll be nice to see. The other weird thing about this is that this Direct is going to air the same day that Nintendo puts out their financial results for the year.
Mm-hmm.
So this is either going to be okay, we need to make some money, we really have to sell you on this game, or hey, we've got momentum, let's keep it going with Splatoon.
Yeah. Hopefully Nintendo's doing great, and hopefully Splatoon's going to be great. But I'm guessing we're only going to see one of these things being great on May 7th.
Well, the analysts are saying to expect something good, but then again, that's analysts, and well, they're prone to pulling numbers out of a certain part of analysis.
I predict the next episode of Nintendo News Report is going to be called Nintendo News Report. Uh-oh, Nintendo.
We're all fucked.
Those are making them a lot of money. I don't know.
Vivo's good, and I mean the mobile stuff hasn't happened yet, but obviously, I mean we saw what happened to their stock when they announced the mobile stuff. So we'll see. And the Wii U selling better than it was a year ago. So I think it'll be an improvement over a year ago, but I don't expect too much growth. But we'll see.
Have we seen just before we close this out? Have we actually seen gameplay of the first person or the single player mode? Because I don't think we have.
I don't think so.
I think we've read impressions of it, but
right.
I don't think we've actually seen what it looks like or what it consists of.
Yeah, because I kind of wish I was able to catch the Treehouse stuff after the last Direct, because that was all Splatoon. But I think you're right. They didn't have any of the single-player content in that. It was just at least one of the multiplayer modes that they showed off.
That's what I think they got to do. They gotta. I mean, I'm sure they're gonna focus on multiplayer mostly because the game's focuses on multiplayer mostly. But next Direct, what I want to see is to know exactly what the single-player mode is going to be. Know exactly that it's going to be compelling for someone who likes playing single-player games mostly. And also, if there are boss fights, and I hope there are boss fights, show what one of them looks like.
And then announce that they are, in fact, going to patch in voice chat day one when the game releases.
Yeah, that would be so cool as a way to close off the Direct, wouldn't it?
Either that,
what if it's like Reggie? Like Reggie's playing in like one locale, his apartment or something, and like Bill Trinan is playing somewhere else, and then like they're just like frustrated because they're just playing in silence, and then they just like put on headsets and they're like, "We heard your complaints, voice chat's coming." It won't happen, but let's pretend.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're going to pull Mario Kart 8 with this game and throw in a bonus for buying it. The only problem is I don't know how they can do that now that Club Nintendo doesn't take registrations anymore in North America.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's no way to register this game, is there?
No.
At all. I bet if they really wanted to, they could set up a site just for Splatoon. Or they could do like an eShop thing where if you buy it through the eShop, you'll get this game or this DLC or whatever. If they wanted to do something, there's probably ways they could actually do it. And I hope they do, because I think the game needs it. I don't think they're selling it hard enough yet. And I think this game really needs it to sell.
Yeah, it's been coming up with lower prices in Japan. I think it's the equivalent of $40, and I've seen people saying they've been getting it for like 20 quid in the UK. But as far as we know, it's still full price in North America. So either Nintendo thinks North America loves their shooters, which, to be fair, we do, or they've got something pretty major coming up on next Thursday, as far as pricing goes.
We can only hope. Hopefully, this is the biggest news of next week. I really hope this is the biggest news of next week and not Nintendo going under.
Oh, they'll be fine.
No, they will be fine. I really think that this DNA stuff is actually going to be really good for them. I hope Splatoon's going to be great for them. I hope they're doing great with new 3DS. I hope Nintendo's doing incredible. And I hope that's what I'm going to be saying next week. That's our show for this week, everybody. Thanks for watching. That's another episode of Nintendo News Report. I would like to thank everyone for watching, and I would also like to thank my co-hosts for this week, Scott and Donald. It's Terrio. There you go. For joining me. You can find Donald Terrio at Donald Mick at DONALDMICK. That's right, right?
Right.
Okay, and then you can find Scott at OK Soda, OK and the word soda. You can find me at CULAFIA. That is my last name and the first initial of my first name. That'll do it for this week, everybody. Bye-bye.